Hello, all you beautiful people out there. I'm Nipasa Pradhan, and welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Really happy to have you all join us. We are streaming live right now on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And before we start off with today's session, I have this very important disclaimer for you. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. So, today, friends, we are going to have a discussion on a very exciting topic and a very, very timely also because with the elections knocking at our door, we are going to discuss about potential H-1B and green card changes after elections. And to help us navigate and discuss further, dive deeper into this topic, we've got our guest for today, none other than Attorney Chand Parvathaneni from SPB Law Firm from Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much, Chand, once again for joining us. Really great to have you here.
Thank you, Nipasa. Thank you very much. And you're right. Elections are around the corner. By next week, this time, we will know who our
Yes.
next president is, and a lot of things would definitely change. And I think what that means is we already have seen that immigration continues to play a large role in the elections. We've been seeing
Mhm.
all the rhetoric in the last couple of months, both by the President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. Both of them have been talking a lot about immigration. And if you look at Trump's campaign, President Trump has extremely focused on immigration in his campaign. He dedicated a lot of time at every campaign. He talks about border issues. He talks about how he plans to fix them, and he also has been talking about mass deportations of illegal immigrants, not the legal people, the illegal immigrants. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot of changes next year because either way we will have a new president, either Kamala Harris or President Trump. It's going to be a new. It's going to be a change from Biden's administration, so we can definitely expect a lot of changes. And I think we will use this topic today to see what kind of things could be changed and how people should be ready to ensure that they're doing everything right, they're complying with the law, and they're not jeopardizing their immigration career.
Absolutely, Chand. And it's a very exciting time of the year, also very festive. I mean, with Diwali and also Halloween, trick and treating, everybody's going crazy, preparing for parties
Yeah.
and themselves for enjoying with their families and friends. So, also, we have the
Yeah,
exciting elections.
yeah, and this year we have Diwali and Halloween on the same day. So I don't know like what the
Right.
kids will do because my kids are typically very excited about Halloween and also about Diwali.
Diwali at the
Both are on
same
the
time.
same night, so we have to see
Right.
because both are tomorrow. So we'll see.
Right, right. So I think he is already wishing all you folks out there, and you too, Chand, and your beautiful family, a very happy Diwali. I hope this Diwali brings more love and abundance to all of you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nipasa. Yeah.
All right, Chand. So I think without further ado, we should just kick right in with our topic for today. And I have this first question: what potential changes to the H-1B visa cap and selection process could we expect from the new administration?
Sure. So, I mean, we're definitely going to have either President Trump or Vice President Harris become the president, the new president. And if you look at the President Trump's campaign, so President Trump has been doing a lot of talks along with the former senior advisor, Stephen Miller. So, what's going to happen is if Trump is elected, Mr. Stephen Miller, who was a big part of the immigration agenda last time, he's going to be a big part of the agenda this time. And Stephen Miller is pretty harsh with immigration policies. And I think if President Trump is elected, we can expect to see a historically restrictive immigration agenda starting in 2025. And I think they've already promised to carry out largest domestic deportation operation in American history. And what that means is President Trump, on many occasions, has vowed to carry out the largest deportation program. And what they're saying is they want to deport anybody that's undocumented. And we don't know how they will do it. They have some plans, but the kind of the volume they're talking about, If it is carried out, it would probably be the largest deportation operation, and
Mhm.
they're talking about millions of undocumented illegal immigrants that are in US, and they're talking about deporting them. So that's something what we might see, at least to some extent, next year.
Mhm.
And another important topic that they have been discussing a lot, the Republican Party, is end of birthright citizenship. So right now we know that if somebody is born in United States, it does not matter that they are born to undocumented parents. So even if their parents are undocumented, illegal in the country, the child automatically qualifies for citizenship. And what we are seeing, what we are, I mean, what they have been talking about in the campaigns is that the birthright citizenship, the right to automatically become a US citizen if you're born in US, that might be ended. And so we don't know how they will do it, but again, there is a proposal. More than likely, it will be done through an executive order, which more than likely will be contested in the court. But again, that's something what people might expect next year. And President Trump's campaign has one good news for a lot of employees. So they're talking about automatic green cards for foreign students who go to college in US. So not everything is bad with the policies that the Trump's campaign is proposing. So one of the good things that Mr. Trump has proposed is automatic green cards for foreign students. So anyone that graduates from a US college, junior colleges, universities, they can directly get a green card. However, one caveat is that it cannot be done through an executive order. It has to be done through a congressional legislation. So they have to go through the legislative process to get it done. And what it means is it is not that easy, but again, it's out there and looks like President Trump is in favor of it. But it
Mhm.
also means that the Senate has to be in favor of it and the House of Representatives has to be in favor of it, because for a bill to pass, we need the Senate to pass it, we need the House to pass it, and then the president has to approve it. But at least that's one of the good policies that they're proposing. And uh, from Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign's perspective, so she has reiterated multiple times that immigration system is broken, and she talks about legislative fixes. And a legislative fix means going back to the Congress, having the Senate approve changes, having the House of Representatives approve changes, and go forwards. So she's talking about changes to the asylum policy, having a higher standard for asylum eligibility. She's talking about increased detention capacity by increasing funding for ICE. She's also talking about increases to legal immigration. So she's talking about creating 250,000 green cards for eligible employment or family-based visas in the next couple of years. So both of them do have a lot of changes on the pipeline, and we don't know how many will be implemented. The reason being, the president does not have the entire power. The president has to work with the Congress and has to get the bills passed. So, so even though the president really wants to make some changes, it also a lot also depends on what kind of senators are elected next week and how the house looks like after the elections next week. Because remember, the elections next week are not only for president, they're also for a couple of senate seats and for the entire house. So a lot depends on the composition of the house and senate to see what kind of legislative changes we can anticipate. And I think overall, to summarize, when you talk about employment based immigration, H-1Bs, to summarize the changes, I think we can see some changes in visa cap, because the new administration will always focus on whether the annual cap for H-1B visas, 85,000, whether it is enough for the country, whether we have labor shortages, whether we have to increase it. So it's always a possibility. Definitely, the new administration will definitely take a look at the visa cap numbers. And there is also a good chance that some occupations are prioritized, especially when there is high demand for certain occupations or industries. So we will also be able to expect some changes for certain occupations, and we'll have to see. During the President Biden's administration, they talked about AI jobs. They talked about how AI jobs should be more encouraged and so on. So we will always see some priority for certain occupations, and with the new administration coming, we can definitely expect to see some kind of a change and some kind of a need for certain occupations, and certain occupations being more specialized, more important to the country, and so on. We can also expect to see selection process revisions. So right now we're going through a lottery system. in the future, a more merit-based approach or potentially prioritizing candidates with some advanced degrees, it is a possibility. Right now, it's a random lottery. Anybody gets into the lottery, everybody has an equal chance. Going forwards, it might change. And then also a pathway to permanent residency. So in the future, we might see some proposals, at least in the new House, new Congress. Maybe we will have some bills that talk about streamlining the process for H-1B visa holders. Because right now, transitioning from H-1B to green card, especially for countries like India, it is very, very tough. So in the future, at least in critical industries, we might see some changes. We already have some rules out there for EB-2 NIW, EB-1A categories. So we will see some changes, more refinement for critical industries. And definitely, no matter who comes, we can expect to see some strengthening oversight. So we will definitely have some increased scrutiny on employers to ensure that everybody is complying with the laws. So overall, I think in a week, less than a week actually, next Tuesday, we will find out who the new president is. January is when they actually take office. So whatever we talked about, I think these are all things that we can at least expect some kind of traction started in 2025.
That's really crazy, but definitely, I mean, so much happening, and wow, so many things, especially with AI coming up, and many things are changing with all the recent updates, and of course, the great news about birthright also. So, thank you so much, Chant, for covering that. And there you go, friends, the potential changes to H-1B visa cap and selection process. Definitely, we are going to expect a lot of changes, and that's the best part, I think. So, Chand,
Yeah.
moving on, are there likely to be reforms in green card allocations to address backlogs for certain countries like India and China?
Sure. So when we talk about employment-based green cards, it's mostly India that is heavily impacted. India is like the most severely backlogged country, and then it is China. But compared to China, China is actually a lot better compared to India. And for India, somebody from India, if somebody entered this green card process in 2012, I'm talking about EB-2 or EB-3 categories, which are the most widely used categories by Indian nationals. So somebody has to get into the process in 2012, and those people are currently getting green cards in the year 2024. And if somebody was born in like a country like Bangladesh or Nepal, I mean, somebody who has entered into this process in 2022, they are eligible. The reason is, for example, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, they are not heavily subscribed. These are undersubscribed countries. So it is easier for those countries to get a green card quickly compared to somebody who is born in India or China. The reason is there are a lot of oversubscription from India and China. There are a lot of people already in US, and we have this country quotas. There is only a 7% limit that can be allocated for each country. So which means when you look at a country like China or India, which have a lot of population, the 7% mark gets hit very quickly. So this problem is a huge problem, and every time there is a new administration, we are looking for some reforms, some kind of rule changes to address these backlogs. And definitely, I think this new administration will more than likely, whether it is President Trump's administration or Vice President Kamala Harris's administration in the future, more than likely they will definitely take a look at this issue. Every administration takes a look at this issue, and what I've been seeing is every administration, we at least see some bill being tabled either in the Senate or in the House. The problem is, for the country quotas to be removed, we have to go through a legislation, and a legislation means the Senate has to approve, the Congress, the House has to approve, and then the president has to approve. And what lately has been happening is, if the House is with one party, for example, right now with one party, the Senate is with another party. So it is very hard for everybody to be on the same page most of the time. And since we are rarely seeing cases where the House is with the same party, the Senate is with the same party, and then the presidency is with the same party, it is not very easy to get complex legislations completed, especially something like immigration, where there are diverse views on both sides of the parties. It is very, very hard for somebody to come to an agreement. So we don't know, but I definitely think that we will see some bills being introduced. And another important bill that I think could be introduced is recapturing unused visas. So we know that because of the 7% quotas, some countries are undersubscribed. So we do have a lot of unused green card visas out there, immigrant visas out there. So a new legislation might be able to just recapture all the unused green cards from the previous years, maybe reallocate them and allocate them to countries that have oversubscription like India or China and help reduce backlogs. So this is a possibility, but we have to wait and see whether it will happen or not. And the best bet is changing per country gaps, the caps. So right now we have a 7% cap, and more than 7% cannot be issued. Green cards cannot be issued to individuals of any one country. So in the future, I definitely think that there will be some reforms, at least some bills out there that will talk about eliminating or at least raising these caps, because 7% is too low. Maybe they will increase the cap to 15%, or maybe they will completely eliminate this cap. So we will have to see, and that is definitely a possibility. And if you look at President Trump's campaign, they are talking about encouraging people with a US degree, like a US college degree. So if something like that takes traction, it probably might be an easy way where they can solve the per country cap issue. And then also prioritizing certain categories. The proposals could also prioritize green card applications for individuals in high demand fields, some or something like advanced degrees, or like some particular occupations like AI. With Biden's administration, they were focusing on AI jobs. So any jobs that are critical to the country, they had EB-2 NIW option, they had EB-1A option, and so on. So certain categories could be prioritized based on the needs of the country. So that is always a possibility. And we're also expecting some family based reforms, not just the employment side, but also the family based reforms. So the reforms more than likely will aim to streamline family based green card processes. And if the family based green card process is refined, indirectly, it'll also impact employment based, and employment based categories also will get refined. And the green cards will be issued more efficiently, because every year we see a lot of wastage. So hopefully, if that wastage is resolved and no green cards are unused, overall it'll help clear the backlogs. And more than likely, I think the new administration will look for increased transparency and efficiency. The fees that have to be paid to USCIS, after a long time, they were drastically increased earlier this year in April 2024. And by increasing the fees, looks like USCIS now has a reasonably decent budget. And what that means is more than likely we can see more efficiency, more transparency, because they do have the resources now, at least in terms of monetary resources. So while these reforms could significantly impact the backlog issue, their entire implementation, everything would depend on what kind of legislative support that the president will get, because it is not just the president for most of the things. It is also the legislative support, what kind of support the Senate and what kind of support the House would give to the president. So the elections, we're not only looking for the who's the president, we're also looking to see how the House shapes up, how the Senate also shapes up next week. Next Tuesday, we will have all the answers, but hopefully, we will see some good changes in the next 4 years.
Definitely very exciting. I mean, when you say elections are coming, you definitely see a lot of changes coming ahead of you. So let's all be ready for all this excitement that's already coming our way. Thank you so much, Chand, for taking that up. And meanwhile, I'll just say hi to our viewers out there who have already dropped comments. Rahul, Priya, and Sneha, thank you for your questions. Please stay with us. We are going to take them up very soon. And thank you so much, all you folks out there. Let me tell you this, that if you have any questions regarding our topic for today, please feel free to drop your questions in the comments below. And today's topic is potential H-1B and green card changes after elections. And yes, thank you for joining us wherever you've joined us from. So, Chand, moving on, I have another question, and this is with regard to how could the new administration's stance on immigration affect H4 dependents and their eligibility for work authorization?
Sure. I did get a lot of concerned people calling us and talking about what would happen to the H4 EAD. So right now,
Mhm.
anybody on H1, if they have an I-140, their spouses, their H4 spouses, they are able to get H4 EAD and actually start working right away. And so a lot, I mean, I think for some reason there is like a rumor out there that H4 EAD could end in the future, and people, uh, I mean, do have some questions around it. And I think this is what I think we have seen. So this whole H4 EAD, this ability for the H4 dependents to work, it started during President Obama's time. So when President Obama was there, they through an executive order, this H4 EAD got implemented. So ever since then, we have this H4 EAD. So last time when President Trump was in office, 2016 to 2020, a lot of people, they were worried that the H4 EAD would end. There was a lawsuit, and a lot of them felt that the Trump's administration would not fight for H4 EAD, and the H4 EAD would just die. It did not happen. So if you look at 2016 to 2020, President Trump's administration, they did not do anything to jeopardize H4 EAD, and it was there. Then we had the Democratic administration from 2021, basically 2020 to 2024. So these last 4 years. And again, people had concerns about H4 EAD, and the administration did not do anything to jeopardize H4 EAD. So what that means is we have seen two administrations, one Republican, one Democrat administration for the last 8 years, and they have not touched H4 EAD. And to me, what that means is more than likely they will not touch H4 EAD, even though it was not through a legislation, it was through an executive order. More than likely, the new president probably will not really cause any detrimental impact to the H4 EAD. So what that means is, uh, I expect it to continue. I don't expect any reinstatement of previous policies. I don't expect them to take away that feature. More than likely, I think it will continue. So, I mean, again, at this point of time, nobody is saying anything from the administration's perspective of wanting to repeal this current executive order. So, for all purposes, I think H4EAD should be valid, and people don't have to worry about H4EAD getting removed.
All right. Thank you so much, Chand, for taking that up. And H4 EAD. Friends out there, if you have any more questions, keep commenting. And thank you so much. Leonardo's question is not in English. If anyone can translate that, would be great. This is on LinkedIn. But thank you so much for joining us, Leonardo. And also, Chand, I think we should quickly take up a few questions from our audience before we move on with our questions. So let's go
Mhm.
with
Sure.
Rahul's question first. I'm curious how a Trump re-election could impact H-1B renewal processes and the domestic pilot program. Could stricter conditions or higher denial rates return for renewals?
Sure. I think, again, a very good question. We know what has happened in 2016 to 2020 time period during President Trump's administration. And we also see what has happened in the last 4 years. So in 2016 to 2020, the rate of denials was up, and according to USCIS's own statistics, it fell. 1 year it fell to as low as more than 25% denial rate. So what that meant is one out of every four H1B petitions was getting denied. So again, the other side is more than 70% were getting approved. So it is not that the entire H1B process will be jeopardized or everybody will have an issue. I do expect the scrutiny to be higher. I do expect the wage requirement to be more carefully analyzed by the Trump administration, because in 2016 to 2020, the denials that we saw were typically for few occupations. Back then, computer programmers or one of those occupations which were not very popular. We also saw denials for low wages. So back then, they used to have a lot of filings used to be wage level one back in 2016 to 2020. So the most of the cases that were getting denied were mostly for cases where the wages were low, and there was a more increased burden on contracts and client letters back in 2016 to 2020. And they were using these reasons: lack of client letter, lack of contracts for the entire 3 years, and low salary. And because of that reason, we saw more denials for specialty occupation, more denials for wage level one, And for certain occupations like computer programmer, they just said that it is not a specialty occupation. And that was what was happening in 2016 to 2020. That being said, more than 70% cases still got approved. So it is not that the entire program was jeopardized. They were more focused on making sure the wages were a little bit higher, the contracts were valid for the entire 3 years, and so on. And now, going into this current administration, 2020 to 2024 approvals, what we saw is we had a severe shortage during that COVID time, 2020, 21, 22. Those 3 years, there was a lot of shortage. And because of shortage also, I think that the approval rate was a little higher because there was a lot of shortage. And the wages, I think in the last couple of years, I think people, the wages have increased. The DOL, does like a yearly refresh of the wages. Every July, we see new wages in FLC data center. So the wages are pretty high right now for H1B. So the wages, because the wages are already high, I don't think that wages is probably going to be an issue in this next 4 years. Because if you look at the charts, the wages that we have, for example, for software developer in Dallas area, the average salary is more than 100,000. Level 2 wages for a software developer in Dallas area right now is $105,000 per annum. And back before 2020, it was very low. So I think because now the wages are so high, my guess is even with the Trump administration, I don't think we will see a lot of denials because now the wages for H1B are pretty decent, pretty high. What I could definitely say is more than likely they might change the definition of specialty occupation. They might again require contracts. They might give short-term approvals. I don't think it will be denial rate. I think it will be the duration of approval. For the last few years, we've been seeing entire 3-year approvals, not short-term approvals. During Trump administration, we were seeing 1 month, 2 month, 3 month approvals. The approvals were matching whatever date you have on the contract. So more than likely, they will bring back that requirement about client letters, contracts, and so on. Otherwise, in terms of denial rate, I don't think the administration is going to act in a way to deny the H1B cases. I think even Trump administration or Democratic administration, I think both are inclined towards the H1B program. They understand that this program brings in very high quality, highly educated people back into US. So for these reasons, I don't think you will see a higher denial rate, but you could see some stricter conditions, maybe more stricter way of doing things by requiring client letters, contracts, long-term contracts, and so on.
All right. Thank you so much, Chand, for taking that up for Rahul. Rahul, thank you so much for your question. And now let's go on with. We have Leonardo's translation. So let's take this up. This is farewell to H1 visas in the United States after the election. We have 8 million illegal immigrants to process. What do you have to say about that, Chand?
Sure. And again, in terms of immigration, we have two different things happening. One, we have the legal immigration, and on the other side, we have the illegal immigration. I think both the parties understand that we have to do something about the illegal immigration. The only thing is how they're doing it. President Trump is talking about forcibly sending people back, mass deportations back if somebody is illegal. And Vice President Kamala Harris, she's talking about stricter controls and stricter policies to make sure the illegal immigrants don't come into US. None of the presidential candidates wants to encourage illegal immigration. That is not their goal. It is just that how they are reacting back to the illegal immigrants. And when it comes to H1B visas, H1B visas are it's a legal pathway, and it's not just a legal pathway. It is also something that is giving back to the country, giving to US. H1B is, it is not a one way street. It is not where only the H1B employees are getting the benefit. The country is getting the benefit. US is getting the benefit. You are getting highly talented people from other countries to US. So what that means is both sides are benefiting. US is benefiting, the employees are benefiting. And
Mhm.
what that means is both the presidential candidates will be pro towards H1B. And as a matter of fact, President Trump's own spouse, Melanie Trump, she was in the country on H1B. So President Trump understands the value of H1B to the country. So he has never said that he's going to outlaw or remove the H-1B program. They just want to refine the program to make sure there is no uh, misuse of the program. So they're going to highly encourage legal immigration, highly skilled immigration. Both parties are in favor of immigration for highly skilled people, and even people who support President Trump, like Elon Musk. Elon Musk was on H-1B a long time back. So
Mhm.
H-1B as a program, nobody's going to shut the program down. It's more about refining the program to make sure there is no misuse. And as far as the illegal immigrants are concerned, I think we will have to wait and see how things will happen. And definitely, I think either candidate wins. They will do something about illegal immigration. They'll definitely bring about some changes to make sure they resolve the problem to the best of their ability.
Absolutely, Chand. We are all looking forward for all these amazing changes that are coming up. Thank you so much, Leonardo, for your question and for participating in LinkedIn. If you have any further questions, anyone out there, you can keep commenting. And I think we will take up this next question is from Priya, asking, can you discuss potential streamlining of green card processes using artificial intelligence as proposed by President Biden's executive order, and how this might affect processing times and backlogs?
Sure. So, in terms of processing times, I think the green cards, especially, there are a couple of things. One, the country backlogs. For somebody like who's from India or from China, if it is employment based, or if somebody is from India, Mexico, China, or Philippines, if it is family based, even though USCIS can do things very quickly, there is an inherent problem of the limited number of green cards that can be issued every year. And then there is like a country quota, country cap. So for these reasons, executive order is not enough. They have to make some legislative changes to speed up the process. They have to either increase the number of green cards that can be given, or they have to do something else, something like remove the country caps. That is the only way you can really improve backlogs, improve processing times. If not, the underlying issue of the limited number of green cards, this country cap, is always going to be there. So even if USCIS does, like once you file the 485, nowadays we are seeing 6 to 8 months of time, the 485 is getting processed. But it is not the 485. It is when can you apply for the 485? Until your date becomes current, you can't even apply for the 485. So you're just like stuck in the queue. And that is not something that the president can just change with an executive order. It has to come through a legislative change. And any legislative change, any legislation, they are very time consuming processes, and they're dependent on the Senate, they're dependent on the House. So for that reason, I mean, sometimes executive order alone is not enough. But again, where executive order can help is the way the EB-1A is processed, the EB-2 NIW, the national interest
Mhm.
waivers can be processed. That is where I think these executive orders can help. So for something like if somebody is doing a lot of work on AI, more than likely they will qualify for a national interest waiver if they're doing something really, really useful. So for those kind of things, the Biden's executive order might help, uh, because that order talks about occupations that are important and which are more in the interest of the nation. But in terms of processing times and backlogs, sometimes just the underlying rules have to change. And the only way the rules can be changed are by the House, by the Senate, through a legislative action. And the president sometimes is helpless. Executive orders do provide them some ammunition, but there are limitations, because if anything gets done through an
Okay.
executive order that is not compliant constitutionally, it's going to be challenged in the court, and the court will throw it out. So even the president sometimes is very careful. They don't want to issue any executive order and then realize that somebody goes to the court, and the court says that executive order is uh, violating some constitutional requirement, and then like just throw that order out.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chand, for taking that up. And that's for you, Priya Patel. Okay, there's another question they're asking. Also interested in Biden's efforts to increase green cards for tech roles. If he's re-elected, could these initiatives expand, and how might they benefit someone in IT like me?
Yeah, I mean, again, since President Biden is not in running for the election, so more than likely, I think his policies, I think, will be looked at again from scratch. So I think if Kamala Harris, for example, if Kamala Harris wins, because again
Mhm.
she's from the Democratic Party, she is his vice president. More than likely,
Yes.
what they'll do is they will probably see where President Biden has stopped, and take
Mhm.
it to the next level. And again, in terms of the real benefit, I mean, whatever can be done through the executive order, I think they've been doing it. And the executive order that Biden has already passed during his time, it is helping,
Mhm.
but it is not really decreasing the timelines, or it is increasing the green cards, because that executive order has not increased the green cards. So I don't think. I mean, from President Kamala Harris's perspective, if she becomes the president, I think at least President Biden has at least recognized that some occupations are very important, like artificial intelligence. So I think she will build up upon that, but her true help will come from the legislative action. So tomorrow if she is able to convince the Senate, the House of Representatives, the Congress, and gets this legislative act passed, that is when we will see a true benefit. So at this point of time, I mean, if it is President Harris, more than likely she will see where President Biden has stopped and maybe try to get a bill passed. And if it is President Trump, I think he'll do the same thing, because President Trump is also talking about giving green cards to everybody that has a US degree. So, and again, he has said that, but again, it has to be through a congressional act. It has to be through a legislative action. So whether it's
Mhm.
Trump or whether it is President Harris, both of them, I think they want to do something for highly qualified people, because they understand that highly qualified people are important to US. And how they do it, we
Yes.
don't know. But again, they have to work with the Congress to get anything done. And what that means is we are also looking at who's going to win the House, who's going to win control of the Senate, because that will be very, very important. uh, uh, because if the president wins and the same president's party has control of Senate and the House, more than likely we'll have things move a lot more faster on the immigration side. But if president is from one party and the House or the Senate is from another party, more than likely
Mhm.
we can expect some kind of a gridlock, especially for these kind of controversial things like increasing the number of green cards, removing country caps. These kind of things will definitely be a challenge. So our best bet is whoever wins, if House, Senate, and the president they are from the same party, my
Mhm.
personal view is that things will be a lot more faster. Otherwise, the bills are put out there, but the bills are never passed.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Chand, for taking that up for Priya, and thank you, Priya, for your question. Now we'll take up Sneha's question, saying, I'm currently waiting for my EB-2 NIW visa interview in Nigeria, but the visa bulletin has retrogressed. However, I got a job offer in the US, and the university is ready to file for an H-1B visa for me. Would the H-1B visa petition impact my awaiting EB-2 visa interview negatively?
So EB-2 visa, that is for getting the green card. So it is more for getting the long-term green card. So now that the dates have retrogressed for your category, you cannot really get a green card. You just have to wait until the dates become current again. And the good thing is, since you're from Nigeria, you're not from a country like India or China that are
Mhm.
oversubscribed. The good news is that your dates will become current sometime soon. But again, the immediate question is that you have a job offer in US, so you can't use the green card right away because you're not yet current for your green card dates. But because you have a job offer, and the good thing is it is from a university, and if you have a job offer from a university, the university can file a H-1B for you without going through the lottery system. So what that means is, using a cap exempt process, the university they can file a H-1B for you right away. They can do it in premium, and what that means is in about 2 to 3 weeks they can finish the process, get an approval, and you can go for H-1B stamping and come and work on a non-immigrant visa. So H-1B is a non-immigrant visa. You can use it to come and work for the university, but down the line, whenever your EB-2 NIW date gets current, you can simply file for the green card. Because it is NIW, you don't have to rely on an employer. You can just file for the 485 yourself. So just patiently wait for your dates to be current, then file for the green card, and I don't think you should have a problem. And until your date becomes current, I think you can have the university file a H-1B for you, and you can temporarily work for them pursuant to the terms of the H-1B petition filed by the university. So your case should not have much of a problem, because it's good that you have an EB-2 approval, and also at the same time you have a very good job offer from a university. So
Mhm.
university is what makes it a lot easier for you because it is a cap exempt petition, no need to go through the lottery.
There you go, Sneha. Thank you so much for your question, and I hope you've got your answer. Thank you, Chand. Now, I think, Chand, we will address some questions from our Facebook groups. But before that, if you could also tell us, what adjustments to labor certification or perm and prevailing wage requirements are likely, and how should employers prepare? Briefly, if you could just tell us.
Sure. So for any employment based categories, especially EB2, EB3, the regular categories, you have to go through something called the labor process, the labor process by filing an application with Department of Labor. So to do this, normally what happens is you have to file a prevailing wage. The company they get a wage. So if the company says I want a software developer in Dallas, they have to give the job description to DOL. DOL will come back and say for this job description for this requirement, this is the salary that you're supposed to offer. So that is the first step. And the second step is once they get the wage, they advertise. They look for employees, local talent. And once they test the labor market, if there is nobody available locally for doing the job, at that point of time, they're able to go and file this labor application. In the new administration, I think what are the things that could change? Definitely, I think we will see revised prevailing wage determinations. What that means is the wages increase every year. And every administration, I've seen that the wages increase. And lately, in the last couple of years, the wages have been increasing a lot. More than likely because after COVID, we saw the impacts of inflation, and wages increased a lot quickly than what they used to be pre-COVID times. So the new administration can revise the methodology for calculating prevailing wages. We don't know how they will do it, but it is a possibility. So employers, you should be ready for increased wage levels for your green cards, for your prevailing wages. That's a possibility. And right now, perm labor process is extremely slow. In the new administration, I definitely think it will get more streamlined because they just changed the perm process last year. Things are extremely slow, but more than likely, by the time the next administration starts in the next 1 2 years, we can expect things to be a lot more streamlined in the perm side. During the old Trump administration, the perm process was very smooth. We didn't see a lot of denials. Things were fast, and I think that is because the administration's push is to attract highly educated employees, and this whole perm process, this is for highly educated people, especially the EB2 category, which is for the advanced degree people. So I don't think we will see any slowness with the perm process, at least going forwards. Either administration, I think they will probably streamline the perm process, and we might see some sector specific adjustments. So for certain industries that are facing labor shortages, we might see some flexibility in certification requirements. So we might see some changes in the new administration, and we have to wait and watch. And in terms of employers, definitely review your current practices, how you're doing your hiring, recruiting, your advertising,
Mhm.
because you have to be very, very compliant with the entire perm process. You have to do the advertising appropriately. You have to advertise at a number of places. You have to save your proofs of advertisement. And there are so many things that you have to do from a regulatory perspective. So definitely all the employers should review their current practices, be ready for any audits, because when administration changes, always audits are always a possibility because they always want to make sure how good the process is working. So review your current practices, make sure you're documenting everything, your recruiting costs, and be prepared for higher costs. And just hope for the best once the new president starts.
Absolutely. Very exciting this is. Thank you so much, Chand, for covering that. And now we'll take up a few Facebook questions. So let me just share my screen. Um, but why is that not coming here? One moment. Okay, Chand, let's take up this first one. This is from an anonymous member asking, "Hey all, I'm on an H4 and I was looking at getting my parents and siblings on a quick visit on the B1B2 visa per their DS 160. I have selected Chennai as the preferred location, but I cannot find dates for an interview from Chennai. But I do see dates of Hyderabad. Would it be possible to get an interview scheduled at Hyderabad even though the DS 160 says Chennai? Has anyone else done this? Would there be any complications for doing the same? Thank you for the help." Sorry.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, again, my at least for B1, B2, for H1B, I think again because in the interest of time, sometimes it's just easier to just go wherever you get a visa slot. But for B1, B2, normally, again, if you have time, it's probably just keep on checking. More than likely, the dates will open up because what happens is the dates open up at certain times. So just keep checking the website, and at a certain time, the dates will open up. So you'll be able to change it to Chennai. But again, if you don't get any dates and you are in some kind of an urgency, Hyderabad, you can do it in Hyderabad. But again, most of the time, the B1, B2, if it is not urgent, if it is just a visit, I would do it in the same place wherever you're required to do it. So in your case, if you're close to Chennai, try to do it in Chennai. But again, my guess is if you keep watching, monitoring the website, the dates probably will open up soon.
Uh, this is asking, anonymous member is asking, "Hello, can anyone share how to make payment for H1B visa interview on usvisascheduling.com? Account is not working for me. I have contacted them multiple times to send me reset for username. Is there a different way? Anyone knows if it is okay to use a different email compared to the one used in the past?"
So normally, and again, I think what he's doing is the right approach. He's asking them to reset the username. But again,
Mhm.
if he's not able to get it reset, I would just use another email, create a new account.
Okay.
If he has like tried all other, exhausted all other resources, there is nothing wrong in creating a new account and just go with it. That's probably a faster approach than waiting for them to reset the login and
Right.
password.
Right. Thank you, Chance, for that very good advice. Moving on, I have this next one, H1B from India. "Hi, I got notified of H1B approval on portal. Receipt will take 2 to 3 weeks. Wanted to get a head start to start stamping process. Can someone provide the exact steps? Also, do I need to wait till I receive the physical notice? Currently, what dates are available for interview? Flexible on location. Ideally, I want a January end of February window. Thank you for your help." Anything
He
you
does
can
not
say on
need
this?
the original.
Okay.
Yeah, so he does not need to wait until he gets the original. So if he has a copy, he can just use the copy and try to basically use that for his interview process for now, and just
Mhm.
get a slot. And for getting a slot, they have to keep on checking because sometimes you go and the slots are not available because the slots get opened up at certain times. So just follow the forums. Sometimes follow your friends if some of your friends are also in the same process, and you don't really need the original. Even for a lot of people, they think that they need to have the original when they go for the interview. The original is not mandatory. Even if you have a copy, the copy is good enough. So looks like he already has a copy, so just feel free to use the copy to schedule your appointment. And even
Mhm.
on the date of actual interview, you are allowed to take a copy. If you don't have the original, that's fine. The copy is good enough. They normally, what they do is they take a look at your copy, they know the receipt number, they see it on their side. So the original is not mandatory. You can just book a slot using the copy, and you can even take the same copy for your interview.
Great. Thank you so much, Chance, for taking that up. Now, quickly, I'll take up this next one. I'm just rushing through the questions quickly, Chand, don't mind. So, this is from another anonymous member. "Hi, all. I was on H1B and I want to bring my parents to US. I have the below situation that in my passport, my mother's name is Udatha Venkata Sai Lakshmi, but my mother passport, it was like Udatha V.S. Lakshmi. Will this be an issue to apply visa for my parents? Should the name be same in my passport and her passport?"
That is probably not an issue because looks like the middle name got shortened up with the initials. That should not be a big problem. I mean, again, also take a look at your birth certificate, how it shows up on your birth certificate, because tomorrow you will need it for your I-485 down the line. But again, I mean, it's not a big variation. It is just an initial, so I don't think you'll have an issue at all.
Okay. Thank you, Chand. Thank you. Now, this is another question asking, need help. I became a manager after coming to US. So currently I am on L1A but not able to apply for EB-1. My I-140 is approved when I was on L1B. I need to switch companies before my I think we've taken this, no? Okay. Anyway, I need to switch companies before company decides to let me go. Please suggest what options do I have to apply for green card.
Sure. So if your I-140 is already approved, I'm guessing it's EB1 category because you said EB1. So if your I-140 is already approved and your date is current, you can apply for the 485. But if you have not applied for the 485 because your date is not current, what that means is that tomorrow, if you lose your job and you have to move out of the company, tomorrow you'll be able to retain your priority date, but again you might not be able to retain your category EB1 because the next time you change your company, the other company might not be able to do it under EB1C because EB1C is typically for being a manager from one company to another company, which is similar to L1A. So if it is EB1C that you have and you are let go, more than likely you cannot use that EB1C to file for your 485. The new company has to file the I-140 once again, and you might be in EB2 category because EB1C is not really portable. The date, however, is portable. So whenever the next company does the I-140, you will still be able to get your previous priority date. So the priority date is still portable, but if not, you might not be able to do anything with your I-140 as far as applying for the green card is concerned. But if it is applying for things like your extensions, you'll be still be able to use the I-140 if it is valid for more than 180 days. So if it is approved and you have waited for more than 180 days, the I-140 can be used for your extensions. And again, if you convert to H-1B, you can use this I-140 for your 6-year extensions. But right now, assuming you're an L1 and you lose your job, tomorrow you also have to be cautious about what your next step would be because you cannot do a L1 to L1 transfer to a different company because L1 is intra-company transfer. You cannot just port your L1 employment to another company on L1. So normally what I see most of the people do is when they're on L1, if they have another company who has sponsored an H1, they will convert from L1 to H1 to get that portability option. So in your case, if your company is letting you go on L1, my guess is you either have to go back to India or you have to get some company to file a H1B for you. Okay, again, this is all assuming you have not filed 485. If you have filed 485 and more than 180 days has passed, then you will not even have any problem. So anybody that has an I-485 and it has been pending for more than 180 days, if you lose your job, you should not have any problem. There is something called AC-21 porting, and you can port your employment. You can port your 485 to a new employer. Okay, so based on the question, I think I don't have a lot of data, but you might be looking at AC-21 porting if you have 485 filed. And if you don't have 485 filed, you might look at converting to H1B if you have a if you've already got an H1B approval in the past. But if not, L1 to L1 porting is not a possibility at all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chant, for taking that up. And at this moment, we'll take up this comment from YouTube. This is from Vanya saying, hi, Chand Parvathaneni and Nipasa. Hi, Vanya. Can the upcoming election be causing delays in H1B case processing? My case status still shows as actively reviewing, and I'm concerned about my potential impact on timing.
No, I don't think so. The reason is, I mean, starting from like in the last 3 to 4 months, our law firm, we have more than 2,000 active cases that we have filed, starting from like June 1st to now. and I would say probably more than 50% probably got an approval. But we still have hundreds of cases which are still waiting for adjudication because it's only like 2 or 3 months since we have filed. So when you say a delay, my thing is if it is more than 6 months, probably it's a delay. But if it is less than 6 months, it is like 2 or 3 months. It is probably not a delay. And then what happens is some cases will always get approved very quickly, and some cases will take some time. So again, I've seen cases that got approved in less than a week, regular processing, not even premium processing. Some cases less than a month, some cases 2 to 3 months. But normally, what I see is nowadays about 3 months is what you can assume is the average timeline for most of the H1B cases. That being said, you will still see a lot of H1B cases that take more than 3 months. So up to 6 months, typically, I'm not that worried. Anything more than 6 months, what you can do is you can have your employer open up a service ticket with USCIS, and then USCIS will tell you if there is any issue with your file or anything. And some cases go into random audit, and some cases just take some time because the officer probably has more work on his side. And different cases take different timelines. But 3 months, I would say, most of the cases you can expect some kind of an adjudication, either an RFE or an approval. And majority of the cases within 6 months they're adjudicating it, and after 6 months it's pretty. I would say the number is pretty small. At that point of time, open up a service ticket and ask your employer to find out what is happening with USCIS. So USCIS, once you open up a service ticket, they will typically give you an answer in about a month. Okay, so at least you'll know what is happening and what's going on.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chand, for taking that up for Vanya. Vanya, I hope you got your answer. Thank you for participating. Now we got a couple more minutes. I think we can take up one more Facebook question before we wrap up for today, Chand, if that's okay with you.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
This is from an anonymous member. It's been over 4 months, no approval of my H1B, and the processing time says 3.5 months. What should I do?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
there is
again,
this.
3 months is where even, yeah, 3 months is pretty much what even we are seeing. Most of the cases get approved in 3 months. So if it is 3.5 months, I think it's still very close. My guess is in the next few weeks, he might hear something. But again, the immediate thing that he can do is ask his employer to open up a service ticket. And if it's only
Mhm.
3.5 months, when we are trying to open up a service ticket, sometimes it is saying that we still have to wait for some more time and we are not within the timeline to open up a ticket. But again, there is no harm trying. But typically, after 6 months, you can open up a service ticket. At 3.5 months, you can always try. The system may or may not let you open up a service ticket because 3.5 is kind of the average. But again, since you are like within the timeline, you're so close. My guess is you're very close.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chand, for taking that up. And now I think that's it, or maybe we can go with this one. This one was a little different. What I do find very amusing about US presidential elections is Indian American voters, who are the biggest beneficiaries of US immigration policies, are supporting Trump just because he is a strong advocate and champion of anti immigration policies. What do you have to say about that, Chand?
Uh, I do see some people the same way, and I think there are two kinds of. This is what I think I'm seeing. When
Hmm.
somebody is on H1B, you are at the mercy of US immigration policies, and
Hmm.
the day you get a green card, somebody who's on H1B is your opponent because you're competing for a job with somebody who's on H1B. So the same
Hmm.
person when he's on H1B, sometimes I've seen them be a strong, zealous advocate of H1B program, but the day they get a green card, I think they see the H1B people as their competitors because they're competing in the same arena for a job. So maybe I don't know, but again, most of the people that I deal with, I think are rational. I think it is more about what is good for the country, what is good for the economy, U.S. economy as a whole. In US, there is still a lot of shortage for specialty occupation workers, and what that means is if somebody has good talent, good education, the jobs are not that tough. It'll take time, but it will come through. That being said, I think I definitely think that anybody that has used the immigration policies, got the green card or citizenship, I think they should be, I think, supportive of the legal immigration. At least they should be supportive of legal immigration. I think there is no Nothing wrong in looking for refinement of the program, looking for inefficiencies in the system being removed, misuse or fraud in the system being removed. There is nothing wrong with that. But I think as a whole, if somebody has used some process like the H-1B program to go to the next stage, which is like getting a green card, next stage getting a citizenship, I think they should be supportive of the legal immigration framework. They should support the legal immigration, not the, I mean, definitely the legal immigration where you're following the rules. And we should support the fact that these programs should be refined, because nobody wants fraud or any inefficiencies in these programs. We want the policies to be fair to everybody. So as long as the policies are fair to everybody and helping the community, the society, and in turn the employee's family, everybody is getting benefited. The society is getting benefited. I think it's a good program, and we should encourage these kind of programs as long as there is no fraud and the programs are run efficiently.
Very true, Chand. And nowadays, everywhere you go, there are so much fraudulent activities in every, I mean, field, whether it's bank. I mean, since everything is online and everything is cardless, cashless, it's crazy. And there's
Yeah.
so much happening around the world, and so much changes, advantages, upgrades with artificial intelligence, everything. So well, with all this in mind, with the changes coming in and about, what do you have to say to wrap up our discussion for today on potential H-1B and green card changes after elections, Chand, to wrap up?
Sure. Yeah, so I think everybody, I think, can expect some changes for sure. We're going to have a new president, so some changes are going to come for sure. And again, everybody should be aware of the rule changes, because sometimes rules get changed, and one cannot say that I don't know that the rule has changed and not follow the rule. So it is highly important that you cannot be ignorant of the law. You have to know the law, because tomorrow the burden is on everybody to follow the rules. So if rules get changed, make sure you follow it. And what that means is be on the lookout. And again, it's always good to be engaged in social media. Watch these programs, watch the news, talk to your friends, because that way you know the most updated recent changes in policies, and tomorrow you can ensure that you are complying with the requirements. And as long as you comply with the requirements, I think either of the presidential candidates, they don't have a problem with people who follow the rules, who follow the legal process. It is, I think, the illegal immigration, I think it is the fraud in asylum program, uh, people just walking into the country across the border. Those, I think, are the ones that everybody has a problem. And I think as long as people are following the rules, I think everything is going to be good. So it doesn't matter who becomes the president. I think the burden on everybody is to follow the rules.
True that, Chand. Thank you so much for this great and insightful session we had today with you, Attorney Chand Parvathaneni, for you friends out there. If you want to book a consultation or want to contact Attorney Chand directly, why not give him a call and maybe even email him? His number is 817-523-8247. You can note it down. And his email address is law@sbblawfirm.com. And go visit www.sbblawfirm to get to know more about Attorney Chand Parvathaneni, managing attorney at SBB Law Firm. Thank you so much, Chand. It was really great having you today with us, and of course, discussing on this very exciting topic. Looking forward for a lot of changes. I think by the next time we meet, we will see a lot of changes happening already. So we'll definitely discuss about that. But until then, you have a very happy and safe Diwali, and so also all you folks out there. Thank you, Chand.
Thank you so much, Nipasa. Bye bye.
Bye bye. And viewers out there, thank you for joining us, whether you joined us on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, especially all you folks who got your answer for your questions. And thank you so much, all of you, for participating, for joining us on this webinar. It was really great having you with us. So thank you once again. And our handle is Immigration and Jobs Talk Show on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Don't forget to also subscribe to us and hit the bell icon for more notifications on sessions like these. Thank you for joining us. This is Nipasa Pradhan signing off for now, but have a great one, you folks out there. Happy Diwali, happy Halloween, and have a great day ahead.